Hey everybody, I got a video here for you today. Trying to put this together before I gotta get going here. But this is ancientwisdom.com, and this goes over the architecture of the Great Pyramid. And one thing that I have stated, one of the great mysteries about the Great Pyramid, is there is no artwork or hieroglyphs or any sign of symbolism carved into the Great Monument that can be directly attributed to the builders. And that is just one of the great mysteries of the Great Pyramid. And I am going to do a little reading, but we do have one symbol that seems to be carved into the Great Monument that can be directly and no doubt traceable to the original builders. It says this: the stones that surround the entrance are some of the largest used in the pyramid. What we see today, of course, is not the entrance as it was intended to be seen because the casing stones and masonry surrounding it have been removed. Rather, we are able to see the remains of what appears to have been an exercise in extreme engineering. How these huge stones and immense corbels relate to the final doorway placed hidden into an otherwise flat surface is a mystery. The architecture of the entrance raises some interesting points, such as the fact that apart from the unnecessary extra work involved in building with such huge stones, or the apparent pointlessness of having an opening door for a tomb never to be disturbed, there is also the matter of the symbol carved over the doorway. And here, this shows the interior work of the Great Pyramid, where some large stones make this pyramid shape. And here we see in that pyramid above the doorway, and I'm going to show you some pictures a little bit later, is this symbol that is obviously meant to represent something, and it was obviously put in here when the pyramid was built. It says, apart from being a curious choice of location, there is little, if no agreement on what its meaning might be. The vague similarity to the Egyptian hieroglyph for the word horizon has led to the suggestion that this symbol might be a representation of that word. And I think they're getting close. It says, according to Walter Marshall Adams, the triangle was meant to symbolize the door of the horizon, the hieroglyphic sign for the horizon having been carved inside the triangle, which from a distance assumes the form of a pupil. Thus Adams believes the hieroglyphic sign must be the pyramid's divine name. And I made a video a while ago, and I will leave a link below, where the original names of the pyramids were Divine Grand Horizon. And I'm just going to skip over to another website here. Now, on this website, and this is written by an I.M. Oderberg, and that is obviously a pseudonym. People writing about a different history in Egypt can't use their real names because they will be pretty much mocked and destroyed. So obviously, I.M. Oderberg is a pseudonym for somebody. But I really liked what is said here, and I have to agree with it. It says, from the ground level, looking towards the apex, which seems to penetrate the sky, we see a cascade of stones, row upon row, and little else. But if we stand at the 15th course and focus upon the 17th, where the entrance is now exposed, we see a double archway above the door resting upon a triangular stone in which is clearly marked the hieroglyph for the horizon of heaven. Very few Egyptologists have paid any attention to the significance of the symbol at that point, nor its association with the 15th and 17th chapters of the Pert em Heru, the coming forth into light, miscalled the Book of the Dead. And I've had some questions, people have stated theories that the Book of the Dead and the Great Pyramid are related, that the Great Pyramid is actually the Book of the Dead in stone. And I will leave the link for this article, which really goes in depth into that theory. It says, in the famous Theban recension known as the Papyrus of Ani, among the beautiful hymns in the 15th chapter, there is a ninefold litany to Osiris, Lord of the hidden place, drawing attention to the mystery of the Tuat, the underworld, a portion of Amenti. Ani says he is the Bennu bird, which is in Anu. And in verse 39, he adds, I have made an end of my shortcomings and put away my faults. The 17th chapter tells of the story the 17th chapter tells of the glory of going into and rising out of the underworld, which is the beautiful Amentet, coming forth a living soul. It says, these passages acquire depth if we consider their relationship to the Great Pyramid, known in ancient days as Kut, translated by some as the horizon, by others as light. And horizon and light, I think, signifying that with heaven and light, those two words really go together. It says, although it is supposed to have been built as the tomb of Khufu, better known as Cheops, there is no indication that anyone was ever interred there. A stone originally from the tomb of Khufu's daughter refers to her father's restoration work at Giza. He cleared away the sand and repaired the temple of Osiris. He found a temple of Isis, mistress of the pyramid, northwest of the temple of the Sphinx, and there he later built his own pyramid. And Khufu building at the Giza Plateau, it says this, perhaps this is one of the small ones near the Great Trio. And I think that is entirely possible. Khufu built one of those small pyramids next to the Great Pyramid, and this is one of the reasons his name is associated with the building of the Great Pyramid incorrectly. And it says, Professor Gaston Maspero, Pierre H. Boussac, and Orlando P. Schmidt suggest that the stela implies that the pyramid field at Giza, particularly the Sphinx, is much more ancient than the 4th dynasty to which Khufu and his immediate successors belonged. Now, I made this video maybe a year and a half or so ago, and here I talked about the writings, the books of Thoth, and here he describes lying in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber, and this is entitled The Great Pyramid's Border to Heaven, and there seems to be hinting of it in the writings of Thoth, and a little farther in this video. Also in the Bible, it refers to a border to the Lord in the land of Egypt. And I think the writings of Thoth and the Bible are referring to the Great Pyramid because the meaning of it is really the same. So I think everything that we can see about the Great Pyramid, it being in the form of Orion's belt, the symbol of maybe a pupil and the horizon of heaven, the border to the Lord, everything from ancient texts that hints of this being the purpose of the Great Pyramid. It is all about spirituality. And I want to read this here from this website. In truth, the Grand Pyramid is the house of a tomb, but it is not a closed but an open tomb. It is a tomb not of a man but of a god, not of the dead but of the risen. It is a tomb of the divine Osiris, whose birth on earth, descent into the underworld, victory over the serpent Apep, resurrection and judgment of the dead were the most prominent features in the creed of Egypt, and in union with whom the holy departed achieved the path of illumination and passed in safely the divine tribunal. So I just thought that was very interesting. Now let's go back to that original article on the architecture of the Great Pyramid. And I want to repeat this. According to Walter Marshall Adams, the triangular area above the doorway was meant to symbolize the door of the horizon. And border and horizon, they are pretty much can be meant to be the same thing. The hieroglyphic sign for the horizon having been carved inside the triangle, which from a distance assumes the form of a pupil. Thus, Adams believed the hieroglyphic sign must be the pyramid's divine name. This symbol should be considered of the highest significance. It serves no structural function and is therefore representative of something. It is one of the most unique and unexplained architectural features of the Great Pyramid. And here you can see that, and from a distance this looks like a pupil. And I can't help but, think back to the writings of Thoth, and I think that came down in the biblical form in the Book of Enoch. And in the Book of Enoch, he talks about the eye of Orion. And let's look at the name of Osiris a little closer. It says the name Osiris is the Greek corruption of the Egyptian name Asar or Usar. There are several possibilities as to what this name means. The strength of the eye is one. Another is he sees the throne. The oldest and simple form of the name is the hieroglyph of the throne over an eye. At one point, the first syllable of the name was pronounced us or us, and may have gained the meaning of the word usr, strength, might, and power. And at this time, the Egyptians supposed the name to mean something like the strength of the eye. And of course, in Osiris, we have an iris, and on the outside of the pyramid, and here are some more pictures of that opening here, but we seem to have an eye carved into the pyramid that is attributed to the builders. What this means is up for doubt. There, of course, today, the eye in the pyramid, a lot of people mean that to be something evil and secret and everything. Well, here we have the eye in the pyramid carved, directly associated to the builders of the Great Pyramid. So this just opens up a whole bunch of other questions. Now, an eye in the pyramid, does that have something to do with Orion? I mean, the pyramids are shaped in Orion's belt, and if you make the pyramid, which the Mayans represented so well in their temples, in the bottom part of the Orion constellation, you make a pyramid with these stars. What falls right in the middle, that is the Orion Nebula. Is that where the eye in the pyramid comes from? Is that what they're trying to represent? On the outside of the Great Pyramid, that is up for debate, I guess. Here, from the only intact tomb, I will leave the link for this article below, or this video I made. But I made a video a couple weeks ago where an ancient king identifies the great monument in that antiquity outside the Great Pyramids as the god Anubis. It was never a lion, it was Anubis, and I will leave the link for that video. But here is Anubis in the posture of what we know as the Sphinx. And the hieroglyphs state that this is the gates of heaven. So Anubis is guarding the gates of heaven. And if the horizon of heaven is on the Great Pyramid, these structures were obviously built at the same time, and they were meant to be viewed together. And here is the Sphinx, and I just think this all fits together perfectly. But the eye in the pyramid, this was obviously meant to be a symbol that was kind of hidden in the Great Pyramid beneath the casing stones. Eye in the pyramid, the secret meaning of the pyramid, is this where the eye in the pyramid that everybody talks about today comes from? That is all up for debate. But I think we have a true mystery to what this symbol actually is. Of course, the ancient Sumerian name for Orion is the light of heaven. Here we have Orion symbolism in the Great Pyramids. We have an eye in the pyramid. That can be related to Orion. I think this is fascinating. Any comments are welcome. Hope you thought this was very interesting. Y'all have a nice day.